Happy Halloween, everyone. I am feeling under the weather, so my voice is going to sound a little bit ragged, but I really wanted to go ahead and get this Halloween special out, so I am going to spend a little bit of time talking about my favorite spooky game of all time, Luigi's Mansion for the GameCube. At E3 in 2001, Nintendo unveiled their newest console, the GameCube. Besides the stated purpose of being a next-generation home gaming console, it had the bonus effect of teaching children shapes. This is a cube, kids. The GameCube was big. It was Nintendo's chance to compete against other heavy hitters in the video game industry. The GameCube needed a AAA launch title, something that would really impress consumers. So they gave us a silly horror game about a plumber who sucks up ghosts with a vacuum. They gave us Luigi's Mansion. And fans were not thrilled, to say the least. Normally, a Nintendo console launched with a big new platforming adventure featuring Nintendo's mascot, Mario. For the GameCube to open with Luigi just felt weird to some people. Not me, I loved it. Now, with time, the reputation of Luigi's Mansion has improved a lot. A lot of gamers my age remember the game fondly, and we have a lot of nostalgia for it. But in my opinion, Luigi's Mansion was always the perfect launch title for the GameCube. The game opens with Luigi on his way to a mansion that he supposedly won in a contest. Yeah, not suspicious at all. Boy oh boy, can I have a mansion by entering a special giveaway? That would be great. Mario went with him too, and they got separated. Mario has it pretty rough in this game, not gonna lie. Luigi enters the mansion and is immediately confronted by his worst fear: ghosts. Luckily, he's saved by a funny little man named Professor Elvin Gadd. Gadd sucks up the ghosts with his Poltergust 3000, and then takes Luigi back to his workshop. He explains that the mansion only popped up recently, and a bunch of ghosts he captured got released into it to haunt it. He also saw Mario, who got captured by the ghosts. There's only one thing for Luigi to do. He's got to catch the ghosts and save his brother. From here on out, you are locked into one of the most satisfying gameplay loops that I've ever played. Find a ghost, hit it with a flashlight, suck it up, move on. Rinse and repeat for every room in the mansion. This game revels in repetition, but it's repetition that feels good, and things are mixed up often enough that it doesn't ever feel stale. The mansion is one of the most interesting environments in gaming, and I have not gotten tired of exploring it even after about 20-ish years of playing this game. Luigi's Mansion is a very environmental game. You can interact with almost everything. You can open every door, jostle every table, mess with curtains and flower pots, slide open drawers, everything. The environment feels lived in, real, tangible. This game showcases the better environmental rendering of the GameCube over its predecessor, the Nintendo 64. The N64 had a lot of limitations. Case in point. One of those limitations was environments. They didn't really render environments too well on the N64, so oftentimes you just wandered around a blank, vague-looking liminal space, like in Super Mario 64. Literally half of the environments are like that. Nothing is too distinct in most N64 games. That is not true for games like Paper Mario, but that was made near the very end of the N64's lifespan, and they had figured some things out by then. The GameCube was so much better, and for Luigi's Mansion, it's as if Nintendo just kind of went crazy with the environmental rendering. They gave you a fully interactive environment, and I love it. There are a lot of fun elements in this game. There's all these different types of ghosts, there's lots of different nooks and crannies where you can find money where you wouldn't expect. The puzzles are perfectly baked into the game as a whole. And there's lots of fun little secrets. I love scanning a random mirror with the Game Boy Horror and finding something neat. If you've ever seen a Nintendo 64 controller, you know that it looks like it was made for alien hands. And the Nintendo 64 didn't really make good use of its controller. The controller didn't really have a lot going for it. You had an analog stick. That was pretty much it. Cool. But the GameCube controller is incredible. You had 2 analog sticks, a D-pad, 4 buttons, analog triggers, and everything arranged in one of the most ergonomic, intuitive, satisfying controller setups I have ever seen. Luigi's Mansion made full use of the GameCube controller. Like, you use pretty much every button on that thing during playing the game. And for a launch title of a console, that is a really good idea. If Luigi's Mansion was your first GameCube game, and I think it was for me, it taught you the GameCube's mechanics pretty well. You learned all the little ins and outs of the controller you'd be using for every other GameCube game. You know how I said Luigi's Mansion is a very environmental game? The music plays a big part in this. The soundtrack was composed by 2 people, Shinobu Tanaka and Kazumi Totaka. Any Nintendo fan knows Totaka. This guy is legendary. He does this thing where he inserts a special melody called Totaka's Song into every game he works on, but he usually hides it, so it's like a fun little secret you can discover. In Luigi's Mansion 3, you can hear it after about 3 seconds of inactivity on the Poltergust control screen. The music for Luigi's Mansion reminds me a lot of old incidental music. For those who don't know, incidental music was composed for old theatrical productions and accompanied certain actions or moods in a performance. Like if your heroine was confronted by a long, dark stairway in an old house, you might suddenly strike a haunting kind of musical theme for her. The music in Luigi's Mansion is like that. It changes depending on Luigi's actions or moods or progress in the game. If Luigi's health is low, he will hum the main theme of the game in a trembling fashion. If he clears a section of ghosts, he will whistle the main theme confidently. If a section is cleared, the music will be kind of calm and lilting. If a section has yet to be cleared, the music will be dark and imposing. The music of Luigi's Mansion always makes me think of composers like Edvard Grieg or Johann Sebastian Bach. It's haunting, spooky, quirky, and very memorable. Each little tune sticks in your ears and just kind of hangs out for the next 15, maybe 20 years. I am still humming the main theme to this day. I also love the sound design for this game. All the little non-musical elements that just add a whole different texture to everything and a whole character to it. Everything down to the sound the doors make when they're opening, or the sound of Luigi turning a doorknob, the little creaking of hinges, the sounds of the ghosts. Every little sound design element, every little music element just works so perfectly in this game, and I could spend hours talking about it, but I think I'll leave that to someone with a music degree who actually knows what they're talking about. If anyone knows me, they know I love replay value in video games. Luigi's Mansion is like an arcade game. It's short, sweet, and gets better with age, like cheese, wine, or that bag of stale Cheetos in your pantry. Luigi's Mansion rewards replay. Replaying the game lets you play faster, better, and earn a higher score each time that you play. At the end of Luigi's Mansion, the game tallies up all the money you earned in the game and puts that toward building a new mansion for Luigi. The more money you make, the sweeter the mansion. Your first playthrough, you probably won't get all the money because you don't know where to find everything, but every time that you play, you'll do better, discover new secrets, and earn a higher score. Luigi's Mansion is not a long game. You could beat this game in maybe 2 or 3 hours if you know what you're doing. The short game time makes it easier to play through multiple times in a shorter amount of time than other games. It makes it easier to justify replaying Luigi's Mansion because you think it's not sucking up a bunch of your time. Until it's too late. One of my interests has always been interior design, and the design of the mansion is so iconic. The aesthetic of this game is instantly recognizable. Everything from the color palette to the room decor feels distinctive and comes together to create such a haunting, unique look. I still love wandering around this mansion, even though I've done so many times. I never get tired of exploring. It truly feels like a house you could live in. There's a complete plethora of rooms, a basement, an attic, even an observatory. You can just meander about this haunted mansion, talking to ghosts, opening doors, probing every inch of every room. the game feels so different from every other Mario game. Normally, Mario lives in a bright, spacious environment like the Mushroom Kingdom. But in Luigi's first foray as a protagonist, he gets this small, lived-in, haunted space, with a feel that draws on centuries of classic ghost stories. Dracula could live here. Or maybe your mom. Which is more horrifying to you? I love the little design choices they made for the mansion. The yellowing wallpaper, the grungy carpets, the wood railing and banisters that really just feels like there's been centuries of hands holding it, going up and down it. You've got all this old Victorian furniture, which has a lot of character. You've got vintage china sets. I mean, God, I want to live here. This game was not a bad launch title. Seriously, this game was what the GameCube needed. And to a larger extent, it's what the Mario franchise and even Nintendo needed. It changed everything. It took the series in a new direction, spotlighted an underrepresented character, delved into a genre Nintendo and Mario had never touched. It made perfect use of the GameCube's hardware, and it showcased what Nintendo was capable of in the new millennium. And guys, it did not sell poorly either. The Luigi's Mansion series has done very well for itself. The first game sold over 3 million units, the second game sold twice that, and the third game sold 3 times the second one's numbers. Overall, with only 3 unique titles, the Luigi's Mansion series has sold better than the Metroid series, the Star Fox series, F-Zero, or the Pikmin series. Luigi is doing great. Fans love him, I love him, and his first adventure as the hero is one of the best games ever made. And yes, I will stand by that. I will never get tired of visiting Luigi's Mansion. Happy Halloween, everyone. Thanks for watching.